Have you ever had that feeling that you're living a life that doesn't belong to you? As if each morning you wake up to meet others' expectations, to follow a path you didn't really choose. Think about it for a moment. When was the last time you made a decision based solely on what you wanted? Carl Jung, one of the most revolutionary psychologists of our era, discovered something fascinating that few dare to apply in their lives. When you put yourself first, when you finally choose yourself, the entire universe begins to reorganize itself to support your true path. But before diving deeper into this, let me ask you, have you ever felt that inexplicable emptiness? That feeling that something is missing even though you seemingly have everything? Jung had an explanation for this. According to him, when we ignore our deepest needs, when we silence our inner voice to please others, we're creating a disconnection with our authentic self. Imagine your life as a river. When you flow in the direction your soul desires, everything moves with grace. But when you try to force the river in another direction, you only find resistance, exhaustion, and confusion. This is the fundamental difference between living from your authenticity and living to please others' expectations. Today's world is designed to keep you distracted, busy, always looking outward. Social media, work obligations, family pressures, everything seems to demand that you put others first. Be a good employee, be a good son, daughter, be a good friend. But in that process of pleasing everyone, where do you end up? Jung discovered that the unconscious, that deep part of our psyche that we normally ignore, is constantly sending us signals. That restlessness you feel, that inexplicable tiredness, those recurring dreams, they're not coincidence. They're messages your soul is sending you, telling you something isn't aligned. Think about all the important decisions you've made in your life, your career, your relationships, even where you live. How many of them truly came from your inner desire, and how many were to satisfy what others expected of you? This question is uncomfortable, I know, but Jung taught us that true growth begins in discomfort. When you choose to ignore those internal signals, when you reject the messages from your unconscious again and again, you create what Jung called the shadow. All those parts of you that you deny, all those desires you repress, don't disappear. They accumulate in your unconscious and eventually find ways to manifest, often in ways you can't control. Have you noticed how some people always seem to attract the same type of problems? The same kind of toxic partners? The same workplace conflicts? The same patterns of self-sabotage? Jung would explain that this isn't bad luck. It's the shadow manifesting, desperately asking to be recognized. But now comes the interesting part. When you finally make the decision to listen to your unconscious, when you begin to integrate those parts of yourself that you've been denying, something extraordinary happens. Jung called it synchronicity, that mysterious connection between your inner world and the outer one. Suddenly, the right opportunities appear at the perfect time. People who resonate with your new energy enter your life. Situations that previously seemed impossible to resolve naturally dissolve. It's not magic or coincidence. It's the direct result of aligning your external life with your internal truth. Let me tell you something that perhaps no one else has told you. Putting yourself first is not selfish. In fact, it's the most generous act you can do for those around you. Because when you live from your authenticity, you offer the world your true essence, not a diluted version of who you think you should be. Jung understood that true self-love has nothing to do with narcissism. It's not about believing you're better than others or ignoring others' needs. It's about honoring your own path, listening to that inner voice that guides you toward your unique purpose. Think about the people you admire most, those who have left a mark on the world, who have inspired others with their work or their presence. Do you think they got there by trying to please everyone? Or were they brave enough to follow their own truth, even when no one else understood it? The paradox that Jung discovered is that when you dare to be who you truly are, you not only free yourself, but you also free those around you. You give them permission to live their truth too. Your authenticity becomes a beacon that illuminates the path for others. But being authentic requires courage. It means facing your deepest fears, those inner voices that tell you you're not enough, that you don't deserve what you desire. that it's better to stay where you are, even though it's consuming you from within. Jung called this process individuation, the path to becoming who you truly are. And he warned that it's not an easy path. It often involves crisis, periods of confusion, and even the feeling of being lost. But it's precisely in those dark moments where you find your brightest light. Do you remember any moment in your life when you made a difficult decision, something that scared you, but that you knew deep inside was right? Perhaps you left a relationship that wasn't nourishing you, quit a secure but empty job, or moved to a completely new place following a hunch. How did you feel afterward? There was fear, sure, but also a strange sense of freedom, right? That feeling is your authentic self celebrating your courage. It's your soul saying, "Finally, you're listening to me." And the most fascinating thing is that, as Jung discovered, when you make decisions from that place of authenticity, the universe seems to conspire in your favor. Let me explain how this works according to Jung. We all have a kind of inner compass, what he called the self. It's not your ego, not your conscious personality, it's something much deeper. It's the totality of who you are, including aspects you may not yet know. When you make decisions that are aligned with yourself, you're in harmony with your life purpose. And that internal harmony generates a resonance that attracts similar external experiences. Jung observed this phenomenon again and again in his patients and in his own life. But here comes the real challenge. To access yourself, you must first be willing to let go. Let go of relationships that no longer serve you, jobs that drain your energy, limiting beliefs you've carried for years, and even aspects of your identity that no longer resonate with you. This letting go can be painful. As a society, we've been taught to hold on, to accumulate, to never give up. But Jung shows us that sometimes giving up is exactly what we need. Not as an act of defeat, but as an act of profound wisdom. Imagine you're holding a coin tightly in your closed hand. As long as you keep your fist clenched, you can't receive anything else. Only when you open your hand, when you let go of what you have, do you create space to receive something new, perhaps something much better. In my own life, I've experienced this countless times. Moments when I had to let go of people, situations, or even dreams that I believed were fundamental to my happiness. And although at first it seemed like a loss, eventually I understood that each no to what wasn't serving me was a yes to something that was more aligned with my true essence. Jung explained that when we have the courage to face our shadows, to integrate those repressed parts of ourselves, we experience a kind of rebirth. We're no longer internally divided, fighting against ourselves. Instead, all our energy flows in one direction. And it's precisely this unified energy that has the power to transform your external reality. As Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Think about the people you know who seem to have good luck. Those to whom opportunities seem to fall from the sky, who always seem to be in the right place at the right time. What if it wasn't luck? What if they were simply so aligned with their purpose that they naturally attract what they need? Jung observed that these meaningful coincidences, or synchronicities, occur more frequently when a person is in a deep process of internal transformation. As if the universe wanted to confirm that you're on the right path by sending you signs. Perhaps you've experienced this. You're thinking about someone and suddenly they call you. You need certain information, and you happen to find a book that has exactly what you were looking for. You're contemplating an important change, and suddenly someone appears who offers you just the opportunity you needed. Jung's explanation for these synchronicities isn't mystical or supernatural. He believed there exists a deep connection between our psyche and the world around us, a connection that transcends time and space as we normally understand them. When you put yourself first, when you honor your inner truth, you're tuning into this connection. You're no longer fighting against the current, but flowing with it. And it's in this flow where you find not only inner peace, but also a strange sense of magic in your everyday life. But putting yourself first won't always be understood by those around you. We live in a society that has normalized self-sacrifice, especially for certain groups. Women, for example, are often conditioned to put everyone else's needs before their own. And anyone who prioritizes their well-being might be labeled as selfish or inconsiderate. Jung invites us to question these social norms. He reminds us that each of us has a unique path, and that following someone else's path, even when that other person has the best intentions, will only take us further from our truth. Imagine you're on a plane and an emergency occurs. The instructions are clear. Put on your own oxygen mask first, then help others. Why? Because if you can't breathe, you won't be able to help anyone else. This simple but powerful metaphor perfectly illustrates why putting yourself first isn't selfishness, but essential self-care. Jung understood that our capacity to give to others, to contribute to the world in a meaningful way, is directly related to how connected we are with ourself. When we live from authenticity, our actions have a power and impact they cannot have when we act out of obligation or duty. Perhaps you're thinking, all this sounds good, but where do I start? Jung would give us simple but profound advice. Start by paying attention. Attention to your dreams, to your intuitions, to those little inner voices you normally ignore. Attention to what energizes you and what drains you. Attention to recurring patterns in your life. This conscious attention is the first step to reconnecting with yourself. It requires nothing special, just your commitment to be present, to observe yourself without judgment, to be curious about your own inner world. The next step is the hardest, acting according to what you discover. Perhaps you notice that a certain relationship constantly makes you feel small, or that your current job goes against your deepest values, or simply that the life you're living seems to belong to someone else. Acting doesn't necessarily mean making drastic changes immediately. Jung was a firm believer in the power of small steps, of gradual but consistent transformations. Each time you choose to honor your truth, even in seemingly insignificant decisions, you're strengthening your connection with yourself. And here's the most extraordinary part. As you become more true to yourself, you'll begin to notice changes in your outer world. People who used to drain you mysteriously disappear from your life. Opportunities that resonate with your true talents and passions begin to appear. Situations that seem stagnant suddenly start to move. Jung observed this phenomenon again and again. The external reality seems to reorganize itself to reflect your new internal state. It's not that the objective world changes, but that by changing yourself, you change your perception of the world and therefore your way of interacting with it. It's as if you've been wearing the wrong-colored glasses all your life, and finally put on the right ones. The world was always there, but now you can see it as it truly is, and more importantly, you can see yourself as you truly are. This process of internal and external alignment isn't instantaneous or linear. There will be days when you feel you've gone backward, moments when you'll doubt your path, situations that will test your commitment to your truth. Jung reminds us that these challenges aren't obstacles in your path, they are the path itself. Each crisis, each doubt, each moment of confusion is an opportunity to deepen your connection with yourself, to integrate aspects of your shadow that you haven't yet recognized. One of the most powerful tools Jung offered us for this journey is paying attention to our dreams. He believed that dreams are direct messages from our unconscious, trying to communicate with our conscious mind. If you've noticed recurring dreams, or particularly vivid or emotionally charged dreams, it could be your psyche trying to show you something important, something that your conscious mind might be overlooking. Taking note of these dreams, reflecting on them, can give you valuable clues about your individuation path. Another practice that Jung recommended is amplification. This involves taking a symbol, an image, or an emotion that appears in your life and exploring all its possible connections and meanings. For example, if a certain animal repeatedly appears in your dreams or thoughts, you might investigate what that animal symbolizes in different cultures and traditions and see what resonates with you. But perhaps the most important practice Jung left us is that of conscious dialogue with our different internal parts. He called it active imagination, a state in which you consciously relate to figures from your unconscious, not as fantasies, but as real parts of your psyche that you can interact with and learn from. Through this internal dialogue, you can discover aspects of yourself that you've been repressing or ignoring. You can reconcile with parts that you've judged or rejected. And in this process of integration, your psychic energy stops being divided and begins to flow in one direction, enhancing your ability to manifest in the external world. Jung observed that when a person advances significantly in their individuation process, they develop a kind of magnetism. It's not something they do consciously, but a natural quality that emerges when someone is genuinely connected with their essence. These people naturally attract circumstances, relationships, and opportunities that are aligned with their true being. You've known people like this, right? People who seem to have a clarity and purpose that others don't possess, who make decisions based on something deeper than simple rational analysis, who seem to be in the right place at the right time, again and again. What Jung discovered is that this quality isn't something you're born with, it's something that develops. And the catalyst for this development is always the same: the courage to choose yourself, to put yourself first, to listen to and honor your inner truth, even when everything and everyone around you seems to be pushing you in another direction. This courage doesn't always manifest in grand gestures or dramatic decisions. Often it's found in small, everyday moments, in saying no to an invitation when you really need rest, in expressing your opinion even when it's different from the group's, in giving yourself permission to follow that creative impulse even though it seems impractical. Each of these small acts of authenticity strengthens your connection with yourself, and over time, these moments accumulate, transforming not only how you feel about yourself, but also how you relate to the world around you. The fascinating thing is that, according to Jung, this process doesn't just benefit you. When you align with your true self, you're contributing to the collective evolution of human consciousness. Each person who has the courage to live authentically is helping to raise the level of consciousness of all humanity. Think about it. What would a world be like where each person lived from their truth, where each of us had the courage to put ourselves first, not from the ego, but from that deep connection with the self? Jung envisioned that world, and he left us the tools to create it, one person at a time, starting with you. So I ask you now, are you ready to put yourself first? To listen to that inner voice you may have been ignoring for years? To take that first step toward a life that resonates with who you truly are? I'm not asking you to abandon your responsibilities or ignore the needs of those you love. I'm inviting you to something much deeper, to recognize that the best way to serve the world is by being true to your essence. And here's the most liberating truth of all. You don't have to do it all at once. You don't need an immediate radical transformation. You can start today with a simple act of authenticity. Perhaps it's speaking that truth you've been keeping inside, or taking that first step toward the dream you've always postponed, or simply allowing yourself to feel that emotion you've been repressing. Jung taught us that the path to wholeness isn't a straight line. It's a spiral, where we revisit the same themes again and again, but each time from a deeper level of understanding. So don't be discouraged if you feel you're dealing with the same problems you thought you'd overcome. It's part of the process. The key is to keep moving forward, keep choosing yourself, keep trusting that inner compass. And as you advance on this path, you'll begin to notice those synchronicities, those moments when the universe seems to be responding directly to your new energy. Not as a reward, but as a natural confirmation that you're in harmony with something greater than yourself. This is the gift Jung left us, the understanding that when we put ourselves first, when we honor our inner truth, we aren't acting against the world, but aligning ourselves with the deeper forces that move it. So today, here and now, I invite you to make a commitment to yourself. The commitment to listen to that inner voice, to honor your deepest needs, to take a step, however small, toward a life that resonates with your true essence. Because when you put yourself first, when you finally choose yourself, the entire universe responds. Not with instant miracles, but with a subtle yet powerful reorganization that, over time, will transform your life in ways you can't even imagine right now. And remember, this isn't a journey you have to make alone. There's this community, this space we've created together, where you can share your discoveries, your challenges, your moments of clarity, and your moments of doubt. In the comments, tell me, which part of this message resonated most with you? What small step will you take today to put yourself first? If this message touched something in you, share it with someone who you think might need it. Sometimes the right words at the right time can be the catalyst for a profound transformation. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so we can continue this journey together. Thank you for your presence, for your attention, for allowing me to accompany you on this path to your true self. Remember, when you put yourself first, it's not the end of your relationship with the world, it's the true beginning. And the universe, in its infinite wisdom, always responds.